history-making moment,
Business day.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk, after shareholders with up to $1 trillion.
So we all know about this. Overwhelming support for Elon Musk's 2025 CEO Performance Award. As we know, Tesla shareholders overwhelmingly voting in support of Musk's 2025 Performance Award, with 76.6% of all votes cast, including Elon Musk and other Tesla insiders, voting in favour. Tesla boomer mama Alexandra Mers with some interesting context too. Not intuitive. According to her post, the approval rate for the 2025 Performance Award, even if you remove the insider voting, e.g. Elon himself, call it 12 or so % of the company owned, would have still been 72%. Rather unintuitive. My hunch would have been much less than 72%. The denominator makes a big difference. So considering the fact that the bell curve is real, roughly 3/4 of shareholders in the company voting in favour of this performance award, that is an overwhelming victory. Maybe some contrast to typical presidential election, might have a margin of 1 or 2% of the US population for the winning candidate. This didn't pass by 1 or 2%. Now, believe it or not, we are not just talking about Elon Musk's compensation package, his performance award today, but also all the focus has been on this supposed $1 trillion compensation package for Musk. Rivian's CEO got a nice new package as well. We're going to compare that with Musk's performance award. But first, let's get back to this CNBC piece.
Here's a guy who's got a memory. Elon Musk author Walter Isaacson. He's a Perella Weinberg advisory partner, professor at Tulane, CNBC contributor, friend of the show. And it's great to see you, sir. Nice to see you, Walter. Contextualize this for us. I think there's a lot of people who are looking at what some people even describe as a split screen, this idea that Elon Musk is on his way to potentially $1 trillion pay package. He's got to do a lot for that to happen. At the same time, in our country, or at least in this city, New York, where Mondami won, and I think people are trying to sort of grapple with sort of the larger philosophical question that's taking place in our country before we even get into the Elon Musk of it all. What do you think?
Well, it's definitely true that right now you have greater excesses of wealth and inequalities of wealth. You wrote about it in 1929 in your book when you had those sort of things, and it leads to a populist backlash, and I think you're seeing that. When
you look at the pay package that shareholders approved, I don't think they truly had an option in all of this. If you were handicapping the situation, what do you think the chances are that he hits these milestones? I mean, the last time this kind of pay package was put together, people thought it was absurd. It was never going to happen. I'm going to prove you right about historical memory, because I remember you in 2018, and you were quoting all of your sources in the financial industry, and you said for that 50-some-odd billion dollar pay package that hitting the marks would be almost impossible, that everybody you talked to said it was ridiculous. Well, he did it. This time, it seems even more of an insane moonshot. He's got to get 1 million robots.
For those of you who weren't following the Tesla story back then, what Walter is saying here is 100% true. I distinctly remember this being covered on CNBC multiple times, caused a huge stir. My most memorable of these clips sticks in my memory so clearly. Panel, I don't know where the hell they were, Davos or somewhere, in the snow, talking about this package. Andrew's there, Becky's there, and Andrew's trying to explain this eat what you kill package, which includes market capitalization milestones, an absurd operational milestones, not just enough to have the market cap increase, but also you need a corresponding operational milestone or you don't get shit. And Becky on the panel was having an absolute 404 error. You mean he could just get the stock price up and he gets paid? And Andrew's like, no. That's part of it. But he also needs at least one of these operational milestones. Otherwise, he gets nothing. Well, you mean he doesn't get paid unless... Yes, that's right. Now, to be fair, at the time, these goals were absolutely insane. They were extraordinary. And if achieved, would result in extraordinary compensation, which is exactly what happened. On screen now, when this plan was first announced, Tesla had a $59 billion market capitalization. I'm just going to say that one more time. $59 billion. Today, a $1.35 trillion market cap. Or put differently, the stock's up about, call it 22, 23 times since. From $59 billion to $1,350 billion. Not bad. The very first tranche required the company's value to almost double. And then, of course, there were operational milestones as well, including revenue increasing. First was $20 billion, then $35, $55, $75, $100, and so on. There were also adjusted EBITDA milestones. The final tranche in terms of market cap, which required a fuck ton of these operational milestones as well, would be $650 billion, more than a 10x in the value of the company. And again, I record this with Tesla stock up more than 20 times since this 2018 plan. By the way, 2018 was less than a decade ago. Stock's up more than 20 times, less than a decade. Motherfuckers. At the time, everyone thought this was absolutely crazy. Extremely unlikely, bordering on impossible. But what do you got to lose? Shareholders voted overwhelmingly in support of this. And it's important for those who don't understand here. Each tranche was contingent on achieving both the market capitalization milestone in blue and, for the first tranche, a single operational milestone. The next tranche, 2 operational milestones. The next 3, these stack, they're cumulative. So for each tranche, Tesla had to hit at least one of these, either a revenue or adjusted EBITDA milestone and a market cap milestone. Otherwise, zero compensation for Musk. We'll take a peek at the Rivian CEO Performance Award in a sec, but back to CNBS. Walter was right when pointing out everyone at the time, all the so-called experts were saying that these are ridiculous, impossible, never going to happen, blah, 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 totally insane. Which, in fairness, was kind of true, apart from the not going to happen portion.
Sold 1 million totally driverless cars sold. I think increased the share price of the company 6-fold. So it seems more than just a stretch goal. It seems a moonshot goal. But pulling back my historical perspective, you and I and many others thought it was unlikely last time, and he did it.
Here's a different philosophical question. So I love the sort of pay for performance idea. The truth is the Tesla shareholders will, if he does well, they will do even better. There's no question. Yeah. Having said that, you know, there's another view, which is you look at somebody like a Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett, who got stock in their company at the very beginning and never got another share of stock. What do you think about just those two different approaches?
Well, certainly I think that Musk feels he needs the stock not only for the money of it, he wants control of a company that's going to be taking AI and put it into the real world settings. And he said that
Walter's nailed it here. Discussed this a trillion times. Not about the compensation in terms of the equity, the money, but the associated voting control. Musk wants around 25%. Today he's got about 12 or so. Add another 12, you're about 25%. This new compensation package has 12 tranches, each unlocking an additional 1% ownership, aka voting stake, in Tesla. There's no other way for Tesla to offer this additional voting control to Musk without him gaining additional ownership of the company. It just so happens that the company is already worth $1 trillion. So each of those 1% tranches, plus the required value increase to unlock each tranche, adds up to quite a bit.
Is for 5, 6, 7 years. If he's going to do the Optimus robot, the self-driving cars, he founded OpenAI with Sam Altman because he wanted control over how AI would be deployed and, in his mind, keep it safe. He tried to fold OpenAI into Tesla a few years ago, and that didn't work. So I think the main thing here is him feeling that he needs at least 25% if he's going to have robotics, Optimus, full self-driving, and AI all in one company.
What do you think about there was another vote, a fascinating one, about whether the board should consider acquiring a part of, or I guess potentially all of, though I think it was really about a part of, potentially XAI, his business that includes the social media platform, but really is his AI effort.
You know, you put your finger on it, man. This is so interesting. He started XAI, and I have a chapter or 2 on it in the book, because he wanted to have a separate AI company, and he felt he needed to make it an independent company. But deep inside, he knew it should always be inside of Tesla, just like he thought OpenAI should migrate to inside of Tesla. What you had is the shareholders very split on the notion, should Tesla take a major stake in Elon Musk's AI company?
So for context, the percent of shareholders who didn't vote on Elon Musk's 2025 Performance Award, 0.5%. Just 0.5% of shareholders abstained from this matter. On the XAI investment, nearly 20% abstained. I suspect a major reason for this is the board did not provide a recommendation on this. So those who would happily follow the board's recommendation didn't have one to follow and therefore said, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, so I will abstain. I suspect most of these abstentions would have become 4 votes if people were happy to follow the board's recommendation and the board could actually make one. Regardless, this is a much tighter vote than other matters. Means it's going to be a harder case. It's now over to the Tesla board. Personally, I'm strongly in favour of the XAI Tesla investment, assuming, of course, it makes sense. I mean, you can't just in principle say, well, I'd be in favor of any investment, because Tesla could be overpaying or get fucked over, have a bad deal. But in theory, absolutely. I've been publicly urging Tesla to make an investment in XAI for more than 2 years. The receipts are all over X. Don't ask what XAI's valuation has done in that time. Personally, I'd actually like to see something like this. I posted on X a little while ago how I would like to see Tesla invest in XAI. XAI gets exclusive access to Tesla's real-world data stream. By the way, that is an invaluable asset. In exchange for this, Tesla gets 6.9% ownership stake in XAI. By the way, that's actually a pretty serious approximate estimate of what it would be worth. Both parties agree to close collaboration and technology exchange in the future, and no cash is involved. This is my ideal scenario. Whether or not it's realistic or possible is another matter. The post continues. It is important to note that the current and future value of Tesla's real-world data stream is enormous, and this real-world data is essential for AGI. It's a must-have ingredient. No real-world data, no AGI. Having exclusive access to this data stream, and for both parties to agree to closely collaborate and exchange tech in the future, enhances this value exchange many times over. In short, a no-cash deal where Tesla gets a stake in XAI and XAI gets exclusive access to Tesla's real-world data stream. A win-win scenario. Also much easier for this to pass if no money is exchanging hands. But since investors who did vote were fairly split on this one, it's going to be a much harder sell regardless.
It kind of passed, but there were so many abstentions. And the particularly interesting thing is Robin Denholtz, the outside director who's chair of the Tesla board, says, well, they have different missions, so maybe that shouldn't happen. I think you're going to see that play out in a pretty tense way, because I suspect Elon Musk is going to want to take all of his AI work, including building the chips, working with NVIDIA. They should all be part of one company eventually.
Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Whether it's possible or realistic is another matter. Now, as promised, Rivian CEO AJ Scaringe has a new compensation package. I saw this hilarious post from AJ on X. The headline, EV maker Rivian gives CEO a Musk-style pay package worth up to $4.6 billion. Now let's read the intro. Electric pickup and SUV maker Rivian said on Friday it was giving its CEO a pay plan worth as much as $4.6 billion over the next decade, a deal similar to Tesla's record package for CEO Elon Musk, and linked to new profit targets and, listen carefully, lower share price milestones than a previous deal. The chart AJ posted here shows Rivian's cumulative free cash flow history. They've burnt $23.2 billion thus far, more than double Tesla's lifetime cash flow losses before producing crazy amounts of money. Here are some quotes. The Rivian plan replaces one that the board said was not likely to be met, with the fresh plan having lower goals in terms of share growth. Oh, God. Sounds like a massive participation trophy to me. Under the new plan, CEO Scaringe is receiving options to purchase up to 36.5 million shares of Rivian's Class A stock, about 16 million more than the previous grant. So, lower goals, more ownership offered. It goes on, blah, blah. The award will vest if Rivian achieves reduced stock price milestones versus the last plan, and some operating income and cash flow targets. The reduced stock milestones compared to the previous pay package awarded in 2021, which was linked to Rivian's share price reaching $110 to $295 per share. Rivian cancelled that one, saying the targets tied to that grant were unlikely to be met. Now, this is awkward, but I have to. That's the whole fucking point of an incentive package, is you provide audacious goals that are unlikely to be met. Extraordinary results. You incentivize the achievement of extraordinary results with extraordinary compensation. And if you do not achieve the extraordinary results, too fucking bad. But apparently, Rivian thought it better to give a gold star to their CEO for at least trying. Rivian's board also has doubled RJ's base salary to $2 million. Not bad. Now, I'd just like to share these milestones. You will note these tranches, at least according to the reporting, are entirely independent of one another. So, unlike Elon Musk's 2018 and 2025 performance award that required both market cap and an operational milestone to unlock, and that's not the case here. Achieve any of these and you get paid. Pump the stock price up, doesn't matter how the company's doing, boom, 2 million shares. Pump it up a bit more, boom, another 2 million shares. Pump it up even further, another 2 million shares. So there's some adjusted operating income targets, which, by the way, are not yet specified. What the fuck? It says, by the way, the fine print is funny. Some tranches are tied to stock price goals, while others are linked to financial performance goals, which the company has not specified. What? This is odd. Anyway, the point here is that we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way through until number 17 on this list are purely stock price goals. Hit one, get paid, no other requirement. And just 6 of these are operating income or cash flow goals. Seems a little bit out of proportion to me. Again, the performance award for Musk 2018 and 25, each tranche has a market cap milestone and operational milestone. So there's an even number of each. They have to be achieved together to unlock. There are 11 stock price goals here, market cap goals essentially, to just 6 operational milestones. Seems to me a little bit out of whack. Note, by the way, the highest of these stock price goals, $140 per share, the 2021 plan, had the beginning stock price goal of 110, which is not far off the end destination on this new, much reduced package. Now, I'm no hater here. Better to have a performance-based package than not, but holy shit, these two things are not the same. We're currently looking at the all-time stock price chart for Rivian. Man, oh man, the bell curve is real. Maxing out at an all-time high closing price of about $86 a share. I warned and the response from the haters in the comments was, yeah, you're just an Elon D-rider, you're a fucking Tesla fanboy, why do you hate Rivian? I don't hate Rivian, bro, I'm just telling you, the numbers aren't really stacking up here. Good luck. Stop being an Elon fanboy, Rivian's the next Tesla, you're a loser, fuck you, man, fuck you, I hate you. Stop telling me I'm a fuckwit and I'm brain dead and I'm low IQ. And, what are we down? Well, 82 odd % since. So Rivian stock today, and in fact, for the last while, has been, let's just call it $15 a share. It'll be reasonable. It's been lower than that, but let's just call it around $15 US per share. Market cap $18.67 billion. Big increase required for the first tranche to unlock, but again, there's no operational milestone tied to this. To point out the absurdity of this, if this plan were in place back in 2021, not saying it was, but if it were, RJ would have unlocked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these milestones. Just stock price milestones before the stock collapsed. See how this may be slightly problematic. Now, I wish Rivian all the best. I still think they're going to struggle to survive the decade. Doesn't mean I want them to fail. It just means I got eyes and a brain. Just one final word here on these share price targets, even though I strongly object to the fact that they're completely independent of any of the operating income or cash flow from operations goals. And it's not exactly RJ's fault that the bell curve is real. Rivian never made sense. Not even close to made sense. Even close to its previous all-time high market cap. I made many videos at the time, ruthlessly roasting the retards. There's no other way to describe it. Retards who thought the valuation made sense around here. Even so, it is a little bit awkward as a leader of a company to have a new CEO performance package, which includes a number of share price targets that are well below a previous historical high and completely independent of any operational milestones. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.